Hey, it's great to have you along. I'm meteorologist Andy Parker with meteorologist David Vogan. Again tonight, keeping track of some snow around Western New York, taking your questions. All you got to do is pop them on there, whether you're watching us on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter, and we'll be able to answer them live. A lot to talk about. We have the storm that's going on right now where we're tracking some light slush, precursor to the big storm that's coming just a little bit later. And David, you were out this evening, and this is the view that people are getting as they're out and about tonight, isn't it?
Yeah, this was taken in or at least South Buffalo on South Park Avenue, and this is right around where the post office is. You can see tallies just on the right, but these are not, these are very fat flakes, but it's not enough to really stick to the ground, so there's no issues in South Buffalo. Let's take a look at Doppler right now, and you can see, I mean, we did have a good round of snow move through the southern tier, but I do want to zoom on in. Start out in the north towns, Niagara County, Orleans County. Good evening to you folks out there along the shorelines, especially from Newfane to Albion. You folks are seeing some very light flakes right in your backyard. Going to downtown Buffalo, and it is currently dry right now, but yes, there's some more snow on the way, not just for Buffalo, West Seneca, East Aurora. Even I heard there's some accumulation on the ground out there in Orchard Park. We're already getting comments in right now. Hello, Sandra. Thank you for tuning on in. Sydney, thanks for watching. Light snow in Perrysburg at the moment. Nothing on the roads, but it's 30 degrees out there. Yeah, it is jacket weather for sure.
Let's take a look at Perrysburg. Let's pull it up and give it a look, David.
Yeah, Gowanda, you're seeing some light flakes. There you go. Forestville, Route 62, South Dayton. Again, very light flakes out there across the area. Little Valley Ski Country. By the way, Andy, I don't know if you know this, but Holiday Valley, they actually fired off the snow guns today out there in Ski Country, and they're looking forward to doing more of this as we go into the weekend and as the conditions improve further for snowmaking out there in Ski Country.
There we go. Kelly Jones says we have flurries in Evans, and it looks like that's the case on Doppler right now. And Sydney's in here, says we are not going to have a Snowvember like 2014, and we're hoping not, because that would be a giant mess. But it does look like this is going to be a good storm. It's going to be a November to remember. So that's what's going on right now. We've got a little bit of slush, but everybody wants to know about the weekend and the big storm that's coming our way. It's not an if the storm is going to materialize. There's going to be a lake effect storm. The question is where. And we're pinning down the when for you right now. So if you want to make some plans, if you have some activity on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we're going to take you through the weekend. All you have to do is pop your questions in, and we'll be able to take them right there. Or if you'd like, feel free to text 503-ANDY. That's 503-2639 anytime you want, and you'll be able to get detailed forecast information. You just do it like this. If this is too hard for you, do it that way and pop it in there. And let's see. Let's pop this up on the screen. What you're looking at here is model data for tonight at 7 o'clock. And here we go. No snow in Cheektowaga yet. And we've got a hello from Tim. Hello, Tim. And someone said, how bad is it going to get on Friday? I always hesitate to use the term bad, David, because bad to one person is something completely different to somebody else. This is another question. Snow day on Friday. We're going to answer that question for a lot of people as we take you through this. So this map is what you're looking at outside right now. So Dave, go ahead and let's walk us through tonight into Wednesday, because for some folks south of the city, you're actually going to start a lake effect event. It looks like on Wednesday into Thursday, correct?
Yeah, and that's going to add to the snow total that will be falling later on tonight, early morning. That's when snow is going to begin to pick on up here into the area. Take a look at it as we go from 7 o'clock this evening into the overnight hours. Right around 1 o'clock there, you see a little bit of mixing right around the shorelines of Lake Erie and Lake Ontario. That's because the lake temperature is in the mid 50s, and that's going to become a huge play or be a huge player in that lake effect machine firing up later into Thursday and Friday. But as we go
I
through
wanted
time,
to touch on that. The event that we have tonight, and you just brought it up, the temperatures are very marginal. This is not a big deal for us. It's some slush. And then as this begins to develop south of the city, take us into that where we start to see some of that half rain and snow lake effect.
Yeah, well, this is 7 o'clock on Wednesday. Excuse me. And you're starting to see that change over to rain. But watch what happens once we go into Wednesday afternoon, 1 o'clock. You start to see a band of lake effect develop into ski country, Chautauqua County, Cattaraugus County. And then right around this is 4 o'clock Wednesday. A lot of this activity, by the way, is going to be south of Buffalo. So again, it's the extreme southern Erie, Springville, south of Boston into northern Chautauqua and Cattaraugus County. You folks are going to see another 3 to 6 inches on top of what's going to fall later on tonight. So this is right around Wednesday evening at 7 o'clock. Again, a lot of this south of Buffalo. And then I want
to stop you right there and jump in on this because what you see on the screen is 3 to 6 inches of fresh snow Wednesday night to Thursday morning. This is going to be something you're going to have to drive through if you're in southern Erie County all the way down into Chautauqua and Cattaraugus. So those folks get into the snow party a little quicker. Areas to the north, you've got nothing. A little bit of slush tonight. And then that's pretty much it until the big party starts. Speaking of the big party, David, Thursday, everybody's starting to think, is it going to get going Thursday morning? Is it not? Thursday is going to be a pretty quiet day.
Yeah, Thursday morning, a couple of flakes in the southern tier, but overall, very quiet. There is a lull. Not until right around 7 o'clock in the evening. You can see there Chautauqua County from Dunkirk all the way to Silver Creek. This is where that band is going to begin to fire up. 7 o'clock. Watch when we go from 7 to 10 o'clock in the evening. Look at the dark blues, Andy. That is indicating that there is going to be some intense snow flying right around downtown Buffalo late Thursday into early Friday.
That's it. That's your start time. Between 7 and midnight is when this begins to happen. The right recipe of the cold air, the open waters of Lake Erie, the wind direction coming up the long fetch of the lake, that's setting the stage, and it just gets the machine cranking. So what you're going to find is that the snow beginning to fall, there's very little on the ground Thursday evening, and then let's continue the movie as we move into our Friday. Friday is the full featured snow.
Yeah, and by the way, Gary just commented odds on receiving thunder snow. And, whenever you get extreme instability or a good lake effect band, I mean, there's certainly always the possibility of, getting that thunder snow in these bands, especially when you have that temperature difference between the lake and, 5,000 feet aloft.
Right. Let's get to 7 a.m. Friday. This is what people want to know. They're like, tell me about my Friday morning. Our school's going to be in session. Are people going to get a snow day on this? This is the question. Take a look at what happens in the pre-dawn hours. Jog back a little bit and watch as the intense snow goes and hits portions of the south towns just south of the city, inland all the way to Batavia. And the issue here come Friday morning is not going to be the amount of snow on the ground. Kids have gone to school with inches of snow on the ground. The issue on our Friday is going to be visibility within that snow band and then getting the kids home. So it may be one of those days where you look out and there's snow coming down and it's like, they could have kept school on. But then you're going to find that the kids got canceled because of the duration of this event. Let's take everybody a little further into the day. Watch what happens.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to settle a little bit south of the city into the deeper south towns. But then once we go past 1 o'clock, watch what happens. This begins to shift a little bit further north here, Andy. 4 o'clock Friday. And then we go into 7, 10 o'clock. This is going to be, right around into the south town. So West Seneca, Lackawanna, South Buffalo. Those are going to be the areas that are impacted by this band of snow late into Friday.
Yeah, that's going to be one of the things where this thing remains meteorologically stationary. It might not sit on one particular community like in 2014. Lancaster and West Seneca were just absolutely pummeled for hours and hours and hours. In this situation, it's likely to cover a little bit more ground, spread it out a little bit more. But there's going to be some totals in there that are going to be greater than a foot by the time we're done. Because when this gets going Thursday night, and you do the math on it, and it takes you all the way to Friday afternoon, Friday evening, you're more than 12 or 16 hours with this type of snow. Even wobbles that are 5 miles wide, that amount of time, you're still going to have, you'll be measuring this in feet in some locations. Let's continue this because the North Towns, folks in Niagara County, we get a lot of questions about Niagara County. Look at what the forecast is. Take a look at this.
Yeah, once we go into early Saturday morning, this is 1 o'clock, when everybody's sleeping, you're starting to see that band shift further north. It's creeping onto the border of southern Niagara County, and eventually Saturday morning, this is 7 o'clock. It's still sitting on top of Buffalo, even Amherst, the darker blues. You're seeing a good amount of snow right there. Once we get past 7 o'clock, this thing begins to shift further north. Niagara Falls, Grand Island. We haven't called your town yet, but yeah, here we go. 1 o'clock in the afternoon, Saturday, Andy.
Yeah, this is where it's going to take the biggest jog to the north. This is also the biggest bust potential in this forecast. When we look at where this sets up on Friday, that's almost a certainty. The start time, Thursday evening, between maybe 9 and midnight, that is locked in. Where it's going to be during the day on Friday, pretty much locked in, leaning to the south towns, possibly as far as the city inland, all the way to Batavia. Saturday, late Friday into Saturday, holds the biggest key to whether this thing sits over that same location or it takes a jog. Now, David, you and I were working together back in 14, and the same type of thing was forecast. This jog to the north, and it never happened. And that is the biggest question mark. We won't know that maybe until we get to Thursday afternoon. So the North Towns right now, you're not out of the gun, because if this does take that jog to the north, that would set the stage for some accumulating snows in what are the towns that we have on there? It looks like all the way to Pendleton, Grand Island, Wheatfield, both
Orleans
the town of
County.
Wanda.
Yeah, Orleans County. And Tim just commented, looks like snow rates will be greater than 2 inches an hour. I would say, 2 inches definitely in the realm right there, as we see some of the intense band begin to really develop again late Thursday into Friday. This is Saturday, by the way. You're looking at 1 o'clock. And like you mentioned, it is going into Orleans County. It's Niagara County. Once we go past 7 o'clock, this is, again, this is one model run, but there are hints that this is going to be out of the area, much of the area, by 7 o'clock Saturday evening. But as you were mentioning before,
I want you to hold it right there. This is so important. If this bounce happens, that puts everybody in the South Towns in the clear for much of the day on Saturday. So after getting pummeled on Friday with potentially a foot to 2 of snow, this thing could wobble far enough north that you have a day to dig out there during the course of the day on Saturday and travel at will, do what you want to do. And now let's take this back and into Sunday, because there's a lot of folks going out to Orchard Park. And if the stadium is hit and they're digging out, this then lake effect snow band begins moving back down. But the speed of this is the key, isn't it, David?
Yeah, and this is during the overnight hours, Saturday, Sunday morning. Watch what happens. Look how this line just blows up. 1 o'clock Saturday. So this is in Grand Island on the fringe of downtown Buffalo. So between 1 and 4 o'clock, this sweeps through Buffalo back into the South Towns. Once it gets past 4 o'clock, this thing begins to break on up. And for the tailgaters, by 10 a.m., Sunday morning, if you're out and about, if you have the opportunity, or if there's going to be a game at Orchard Park again, a lot of ifs, but much of the area, that lake effect potential is pretty much done for much of Sunday.
Again, if this works
yeah.
out, while I talk through this, rock back to Friday, and we'll just kind of catch everybody up. What you're going to see on the screen, the onset of this is Thursday evening, 9 to midnight. That's when the flakes begin to fly. They'll be sticking to the ground overnight. There's going to be several inches of snow on the ground Friday morning, anywhere from the south towns of the city of Buffalo inland all the way to Batavia. You're not going to have 2 feet of snow Friday morning, right, Dave? We're ruling that out. That's not happening. But you're going to have the flakes flying during the day on your Friday, and it's going to add up hour after hour after hour. You can see that this snow band really doesn't wobble too much between the south towns and the city. Someone in that window is going to be the heavy hitter all the way up to Batavia. So that means that it could be Blaisdell, South Buffalo, the city. It could mean that Lancaster gets another lick at this. If it stays a little further south, it's Hamburg, Orchard Park, West Seneca, and Marilla. So there's a lot of towns that are still within what we'd call the cone. And you may be looking up at blue sky and watching, Orchard Park may see West Seneca and see all those clouds over there, and you miss this by one town. It's going to be that close. And that's what happens on Friday. Saturday, if the jog happens, which would help everybody, it pushes it up into Niagara County. Yes, Niagara County, you would get some snow, but it would be very important to keep this a more manageable situation in areas that were hardest hit on Friday. So that would be best case scenario, this big jog. That jog doesn't happen, David, and you can pretty much double up whatever happened on Friday. You're going to do it again on Saturday. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, I mean, there are a couple of models that were hinting that this was going to stick in one spot. Again, this is all a big if. We're about more than 72 hours away from this event that will likely produce a lot of snowfall for locations in the south towns. It's just gonna, or even into Metro Buffalo. So certainly we're just right here keeping you updated, giving you the latest model runs and what we know. We're telling you what we know is going to happen, but it's certainly we're just tracking it right now.
Yeah, I mean, the situation, again, a hammer at home. People are hopping in and out of here all the time. Great to have you along, by the way. Make sure it doesn't take much. Hit a like and subscribe button. We're going to do this pretty much right up until in and through the storm during the course of the weekend. So it's a huge help for us. Go ahead and do that. Thursday evening, 9 to midnight, things fire up. There's inches of snow on the ground Friday morning, and then that's when it begins to start really battling or pummeling a certain area between Buffalo and some of the south towns inland to Batavia. And then beyond that, that's the biggest. Saturday is the biggest question mark. We know Friday someone's going to get hit pretty hard. And then comes Saturday, this wobble to the north. If it happens, it's the best thing for us. If it doesn't happen, that is where you get throughway closures and travel bans and all sorts of things, because now it's a two-day event, and it's going to be hard to manage that. And it does look like everybody's sweeping this out. Sunday, it's looking more and more like not a 3-day event, but a 2-day event, right, Dave?
Yeah, really, again, late Thursday into Saturday, and this is, it's going to be a pretty good event out there in the area. We just, posted a couple of updates on your Facebook page throughout the day, and you're also looking at snow totals there, Andy.
Yeah, should we go hit them with this crazy looking map? All right. So in this one, blue is good. White is probably the thing that you want the most if you're not a snow lover. Let's get in here and look at this right there. And you're looking at around 5 inches in Niagara Falls. This is kind of a good guesstimate of what you're gonna get out of this through the day on Friday and maybe early Saturday. You start to go through the city, and the potential is there for you're up in the teens if this makes it there. The center of this storm during the day on Friday is probably in that 1 to 2 foot range. And right now that's coming right through Blaisdell, south of Depew. So a lot of the players that got involved in 2014 are still under the gun in this. But as you can see, this goes back down into some of the deeper south towns as well. Not the hills of Colden as much, but it does look like it's coming right through. And then the stadium, if we take a peek at it here, let's see if we can bring it right in. I always say it's in the triangle there. And if we bring this up, let me bring this full so you guys get a better look at it right there. and we'll bring this in and take a peek at the triangle. The stadium should be located right in here. That's a situation where Orchard Park, I think, is going to be involved in that. And you've got West Seneca, Lackawanna, Blaisdell, Lancaster, Cheektowaga, and the city of Buffalo. The trend has been slightly south of the city. So at this point, it's looking at a slightly less direct hit for the city of Buffalo, but it's too close to say it's not coming. And that's kind of what we're conveying here. This is the target area, that area in orange, that could end up with the highest total during the course of the day on Friday. And then when this starts the wobble, it could actually add a little bit more up here to Niagara Falls. It's going to be an interesting storm because there still are some unknowns to the whole thing. And that's probably the most frustrating part for people out there, is that they hear that it's this huge storm, right? And I've heard someone say it's a 100-year storm. That's probably not the case. We've had storms that have set the bar pretty high. 2014 is one, 2000 is another one. Is this going to be a good one? Absolutely. And I think you mentioned it earlier, Dave. The fact that it's the first one of the season is kind of a rattler too.
Yeah, and somebody was asking, I think it was Cheryl, asking about ice. Is there any ice that's coming before the snow? Do we have to worry about that? And I would say no. It's really tonight, and Heather just also asked about Wednesday. It's really tonight into Wednesday morning. We're going to have that snow, that widespread snow across the entire area. Really don't have to worry about the snowblower, the big snowstorm until we get into late Thursday, Friday. In fact, we can show that to you right now, Andy, as we take a look at one of the models. When does that fire on up? Late Thursday, this is 7 p.m. Thursday, the darker blues, the magentas, right around Dunkirk, Silver Creek, a little bit inland, Forestville, Chautauqua County. That's where we're starting to see that plume fire up. Watch what happens late Thursday, 7 o'clock to 10 o'clock. That band of snow wobbles all the way into the downtown Buffalo area, even getting into portions of Grand Island and some of the northern suburbs up there, Andy.
Yeah, that's going to be the opportunity for the city to get involved. And again, the window, the cone, you see these with hurricanes all the time. They put the cone on the map and then they draw a line in the middle. If we had to draw a line in the middle right now, it'd probably come right through Blaisdell and then go through West Seneca, Lackawanna, and then off just south of Batavia. Now, either side of that line, you still have the chance of this hitting you. It's too early to say that is going to be the only community that's going to get this, because lake effect can wobble. It can also intensify and have pieces break off. It's a jagged edge type of thing. So other communities will receive it. But that's the center point of the cone, if you will. And you can see it represented on the map next to me, where the totals here are going to kind of do something like this. And then on either side, it's not an exact science, but you can see how the colors drop off, which indicates you're getting less snow in that situation. But it is going to be something that is we're watching very closely, keeping you up to date. This was kind of our precursor. It's early, it's Tuesday, but we've had so many texts come in asking about, I have friends coming in from Cleveland. Am I going to be able to drive to the game on Saturday? I live in the North Towns. I work in the South Towns. How hard is it going to be to get there at this time? If you want those questions answered, we're happy to do them for you right here. But more importantly, if you want to give that number at the bottom of the screen, add it to your contacts right now. 503-ANDY, 503-2639. Put that in your phone or text it once. Just text weather. You'll get something back, and then you'll be able to ask those questions anytime you want. It's fantastic. All right, Marty. Happy to do this for Marty. And he's sent us a couple of pictures, and we'll give him tailgate and kickoff forecast. We're not asking for a Bills prediction here. I think he's looking for the weather forecast. And in this situation, I think, is it 20s on Sunday morning? And then maybe the 30s for daytime highs with 30s. Some of the snow moving through. That's what I think you're looking at. This will be the coldest Buffalo Bills game so far this season. I think it's safe to say that.
It's funny. I have to say this. Is it just me, or is it whenever the Bills play the Browns, it's bad weather? Because you had that Yeah, you had that. Yeah, you had that really bad game. I want to say 6-3 Cleveland won at Ralph Wilson Stadium a long time ago, and then there was like a game that both teams are battling it out for the playoffs in Cleveland, and that was a good snowstorm out in Cleveland.
That was where the one in Buffalo was 6-3 or 6-9. The beers actually, if you bought a beverage, it froze. It was that cold. And the one in Cleveland, it was so snowy that Mormon punted one out of the back of the end zone the opposite direction. It was absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. Yeah. It's great to see. We're getting a lot of texts coming into the text line. Take that number and use it. It's your direct line to put the weather guy in the palm of your hand. Put us on speed dial. That's what we're trying to do for you, because we get all the questions here, and a lot of our friends and relatives and acquaintances call and text and say, we want this. We're opening it up. Everybody's got the shot at it. Now you can have the weather guy in your phone. All you've got to do is text 503-ANDY, 503-2639. And you can have updates anytime. And this is where you get to ask more questions than you do with the guy on TV. They go fast. The meteorologist on TV kind of go too quick. Hey, I didn't see that. What was it? Well, now you can find out. It's no big deal. Great to have everybody along. Make sure that you hit the like button in here, too. We're happy to have you in. We're seeing a lot of new, fresh faces in here. We're happy to do all this for you. Just hit the like button. That's all we ask. Let's do this one. Michelle says, Thursday, 8 p.m., should we be okay? I think at 8 p.m., the flakes are beginning to fly. And if I had to guess at this one, Dave, it's probably going to be more so along the shoreline than inland. And it's really just getting going. And when lake effect gets going, it's rarely running at full speed. It takes almost another hour or two from that initiation point to get going. So at 8 o'clock on Thursday, I'm not worried about driving. I'm not worried about things canceling, that type of thing. It would be, if you're going to work Thursday at 8, are you getting home in the morning? That would be a bigger deal there. So,
yeah, 80% of Thursday, you're okay. Once we go past 8 o'clock, that's when you start to see, that intense band of snow develop south of the city and then move into downtown Buffalo late Thursday, well past the drive home from work. So you're good for much of Thursday. It's Friday, much of Friday, Saturday, until, late afternoon, evening. Again, if you buy that wobble all the way up into the North Towns, and we're talking northern, Niagara and Orleans County, most of this, you should be okay. It's just that window, late Thursday, Friday, early Saturday.
Yeah, hey, here's what we want to do. We've got a bunch of questions. These are specific questions. There's the 8 o'clock question. This is the one I wanted to get to. Gwendolyn, do you think the kids will have school on Friday? I'm going to guess at this stage of the game. I know it's only Tuesday, right, David? Tuesday, and this is looking out here. But school administrators, the amount of press that this has gotten, the amount of run-up, the tweets and the texts and the Facebook, and everybody's talking about this, and the crazy numbers that people have been putting out there. It's got the school administrators tweaked already. And when this comes up to the event on Friday, and some of these districts like Blaisdell, West Seneca, Orchard Park, Hamburg, Lancaster's a huge district. They've got so many schools out there, one of the largest populations out there. 2014 is fresh in their minds. If this even has an inkling of a Friday that could turn into 12 or 16 inches with whiteouts, they're going to pull the trigger on the snow day. It's a Friday. Keep that in mind. That goes. A Wednesday is different than a Friday when an administrator is thinking about shutting down a district. And this is well known. They're going to communicate early. I'm sure people are saying, this is probably going to have an opportunity for a snow day. If you are in these areas here on the screen, let's zero back in here, David, and we'll bring it up. They know snow. And I know that this is now, people say, well, there's no such thing as a snow day anymore because of COVID. But Hamburg, Lackawanna, Elma, East Aurora, Depew, Cheektowaga, Lancaster, Alden, Corfu. I sound like the radio back in the day when you'd be listening for your school. Buffalo would be another one. Buffalo doesn't just close half a district. If Buffalo closes, they don't say, well, we'll just close the south side and leave the north open. They'll shut it all down. a lot of these I think are going to err on the side of caution if this forecast for Friday holds, which for all intents and purposes, that's not changing. So I would expect to start to see cancellations as early as Thursday evening. And then some administrators might hold until Friday morning, the typical 5 a.m., hit the button, text everybody, we're closed. But I would be planning on it. If you're a parent out there, you want to be planning on that. Let's go take a look. What do we got in here? I had another one for you in here, David. There we go. Take a look at this and see if you can help Susan out with this one.
Absolutely. Have to go to Rochester Thursday afternoon and back home around 7 p.m. Will driving be okay? Well, we can show that to you as we pop up on the screen here. There you go. And as we go into, let's see here, as I rewind. Sorry. Uh-oh. But I will say this. There we go. Okay. Sorry. I will say this. Once we go into much of Thursday, you're okay. Barely any issues. It's going to be past 7 o'clock Thursday that you start to see that band begin to fire on up into Buffalo, first into the southern tier and then into downtown Buffalo. And that's when the issue starts for Buffalo as there you go. Yep. There's around 10 o'clock in the evening. And so you see the darker blues. That's right around the thruway. And that's what you would take to get from Buffalo to Rochester, the thruway. That's when the snow is really going to start to pick up right around there, just past 7 o'clock. So again, much of Thursday is going to be a lull, a couple of flakes out there, but it's going to be okay until we get past dusk, 7 o'clock in the evening.
So Thursday, you're feel free to move about Western New York. That's the moral of that one.
Yeah.
The kids, I thought this was great. The kids today have no idea how painful it was to wait and hear if your school was closed on the radio and TV. I hate to say it, but I was one of the guys who had to read those long lists when they would come in. And you were one of the guys that would run them into the room. Here's the next one and the next one. And now they just get the text. It's no big deal. Chad is saying, hey, is this Snowvember? Well, I don't know. Is it Snowvember or is it just November? This happens. It happened in 14. It happened in 05. It happened in 2000, in 95. So there's precedent for a storm like this to come in as it goes. Susan, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's ironic that this is happening right around the time of Snowvember 8 years ago on its anniversary. I find that pretty ironic for this snow event that happened
now. That's the takeaway. Yeah, it's not the rarity that this could happen, but the fact that it's going to happen on the date that it happened in 2014. And it has some of the hallmarks of that stationary position on Friday. And in some of the same areas, and you look at some of these numbers on here, and these are plausible numbers. If you do the math on this, if this thing let's say it gets going at midnight, right? Midnight, you get the full force, 2 inches per hour. And now you get to do the snow math, right? So by 7 in the morning, if you're going 2 inches an hour and this thing doesn't move, you're up around 8, 10, maybe a dozen by the time you get into that late morning drive. And that is well within the potential. Then you go into the afternoon, another 12 hours in there, and all of a sudden that's how you get these numbers to add up, which sound crazy. People's minds get blown. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have all this, but it's inches per hour. And in 14, David, I believe it was the most powerful, intense snow rate that we've ever recorded. I believe it was 4 or 5, I think 5 inches an hour came down in Lancaster at some point. It went from here to here in a matter of an hour. Is legendary.
Yeah, I mean, both of us drove through that band. I remember getting to work, where we, downtown Buffalo, and I remember I couldn't see anything out the front window driving through it. I was relying on the street lights just to guide me down Route 5 just to get to my destination. It was blinding. It was definitely not fun to be out in, and this is going to be another intense snowstorm. Yeah, but it's going to live up to November, and it's that's a high, very high totem pole
Yeah, hey,
to break there.
hey, Greg in Pembroke. There's Corfu right along the thruway. I think you're going to do some plowing out there, buddy. It's good that you've got your own plow blade. And Tim astutely says, does that go to Friday PM or Saturday PM? This only runs us through Friday PM. We haven't even touched on Saturday for the snow totals. It's really not prudent to try to. There's so much uncertainty for Saturday. It's not prudent to go anything past what we feel comfortable with, and this number feels very comfortable in here. And then and that's kind of where we're at with this. So there's a lot going on to unpack in all of this. We appreciate that, Lori. Thank you very much. And then and Chad says, is it possible? Can we do more? Oh, can we have more than the snow forecasted? Yeah. There's if we see snow rates that get to 4 inches an hour, then the snow math goes crazy, especially if it sits in one spot for that amount of time. But those are fringe scenarios that you wouldn't ever say, yeah, we're going to bank on this. The information we're giving you now, this is the stuff that there's a high level of certainty for. All the stuff you see on the internet, those big numbers, low certainty. They're throwing the numbers out there to get everybody worked up, get a bunch of clicks and all of that. This is the solid stuff. Take it home, digest it, use it to make your plans, and then and we hope that that wobble to the north happens so we don't have to deal with this. Hey, let's talk about Springville, David.
Yeah, I mean, Springville, you're going to get some good snowfall late into, I want to say it's Wednesday, Thursday morning. You're going to have a little bit of a lake effect band that will give you some good snowfall between 3 and 6 inches in that time frame. But the big snowstorm, a lot of this is going to be north of Springville. So this snowstorm, really not Springville, Boston's event. This is really looking like Southtown, South Buffalo, Metro Buffalo event there.
Yeah, no doubt. Springville kind of gets theirs Wednesday night into Thursday, like you said, and you're kind of on the outside looking in on this one, no doubt about it. Susan, thank you very much. We appreciate it. That it's your likes and subscribes that help us out and keep us rolling. Again, I'm gonna push that phone number on the screen because we've got a lot of people in here that just came in. 503 Andy 503-2639. Add it to your contacts. Use it. Just text weather, and you're going to get something back. And then if you want to ask another question that has to do with something that's important to you, feel free and do that. So put us on speed dial. Put us in the palm of your hand. Let us do the work for you, because a lot of times you don't, when it's not 72 and sunny, you don't trust your app. And you don't trust what you've seen on TV or here because you're hearing different things. So feel free to go right to the source whenever you want to. I love it. We're getting a ton of new folks on the text line. Happy to do it for you. And we'll see if we can take another question here. Cheryl says, what do we get here, Cheryl? So altogether, when this is over, how much do you think Metro Buffalo will get? That was what we just talked about, Cheryl, is that we don't want to try to say, we don't want to try to go tonight's snow, Friday snow, Saturday snow, and Sunday snow. What we'll do is we'll give you through the end of the day on Friday. And then the question is, if this thing wobbles, that's going to help the snow total in the South towns, and it's going to hurt the snow total up in the North towns, because that's going to take the snow up into the Tonawandas, Niagara Falls during the day on Saturday, and that'll pace them with several inches of snow, and it would give the South towns a break. That might be, Dave, would you say that's maybe the best case scenario, getting this wobble in there on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, again, if, in a big asterisk, if that happens, yeah, I mean, that would be good news for people who are trying to already dig out in the South towns and Metro Buffalo for all this snow. But if it does stay in, Buffalo and the South towns, like we saw back in November, 8 years ago, then that's big issues, big problems for us down here in the South towns. So the wobble is what we want.
Let's go look at the wobble real quick, because a lot of these folks, we haven't even had that map up in a while. We've been talking about snow totals. So let's go ahead and get that one queued up. And what I want to do is take people through Friday. We'll start with Friday and then get into Saturday, because the wobble that we're talking about, this it's not the new dance that's coming out. It's not a TikTok thing. It's the legit movement of this storm. And the question is it coming to the north or not? So let's go and do this now. What you're going to see, this map is a little bit different. We're going to get nicer pictures as we get closer to the event. But right now, because it's so far away, this is what we've got. So David, take us through. I'm going to make this full so we can all see it a little easier. There's the blue, and this is Thursday at 7 p.m. Let's get us to Friday morning.
Yeah, here's Thursday evening, 10 o'clock. This is when the band will be into the Buffalo area and North Towns. Once we go into the overnight, now we're into Friday. That band still sitting on Buffalo, but watch what happens early Friday morning. You start to see that band shift a little further south. So this is Friday, 7 o'clock in the morning. This settles into the South Towns, right around Sturgeon Point, even into portions of East Aurora, West Seneca, and it's going to stay there for a little bit. This is 10 o'clock in the morning, Andy, and you can see some of those darker blues right around the shorelines of Route 5 out there, traveling into, the Lackawanna area. It's not going to be until later, 4 o'clock, there you go, Friday, into the afternoon, evening, you start to see this band shift further north, and 10 o'clock, there you go, into the Buffalo area, and sticking around for quite some time. This is going to be in a snowstorm that dumps right around 2 inches per hour, and that's going to sit on top of some locations for quite some time there, Andy. So this is Saturday, 1 o'clock in the morning, slowly going to inch its way up towards Niagara County as we go from Saturday morning into 7 o'clock. There you go, still sitting on downtown Buffalo. And, some of this is going to produce some very impressive snow totals, like we were just showing to you. 2 feet of snow, not out of the possibility, certainly definitely there. But then Saturday becomes the unknown, right, Andy?
Yeah, this is where it wobbles. This is what we talked about. Friday, you're getting hit just anywhere from Buffalo to the South Towns, inland about 20 or 30 miles, potentially all the way to Batavia, depending upon the intensity that this boils up with over the lake. And it shouldn't take much to get going. Now, watch what happens on the screen. Let's bring this full. I'll narrate it. As we move through Saturday, the forecast models, we are in good agreement of this wobble. And it takes it through Buffalo up to the falls, gives everybody along the lake shore a break. On the south side anyway, the folks in Ontario are like, whoa, wait a minute, what? And so Fort Erie, Niagara Falls, Grand Island, this is your time during the course of Saturday afternoon. If this happens, and the reason we say if is because back in 2014, the same type of wobble was forecast by the same models, and it didn't occur. It tried, but it just didn't. The convection at the surface, the way that it was formed, became almost detached from the flow change, and it just stayed put. It was a ridiculous storm. Will that happen again? Everybody remembers that. Anybody who is here remembers that. You forecasted this. It's one of these things that we're not counting on this wobble until we can get a little bit closer and take a look at the mechanics of this storm and the similarities to 2014, and watch this. So that's going to be something that we're keen on. We're hoping this happens because, again, that's best case scenario. Then as we get into here, David, let's go ahead and bring this back on Sunday. So this is now up north, spending hours up there. Not as intense as what you'd get right in the city because of the way it is positioned on the lake. Then it picks up in intensity, sweeps back through. You get a few hours of snow during the course of the overnight on Sunday, which is probably the best case scenario. And then it's through the stadium in time for the game. So that would be another good thing. So people could travel to the game and get there. So that would free up the South Towns from the afternoon or from the morning on Saturday until really the morning on Sunday night, Sunday night. So they'd give you a whole day and then to clear out. So I think that would be the best case scenario. If it doesn't go, if that wobble doesn't happen, it's all a whole nother. This map could double right here. This is the snow map, and if Saturday doesn't wobble, this whole thing changes. These numbers get a lot bigger because then you get a second day of lake effect right on top. That's what happened in 2014. You had one day of lake effect, and then you had another day of lake effect, and it just kept rolling right on top of Lancaster. And then street signs became, you could walk up to walk up the drift to the top of the street sign and take your picture. There was a lot of great photos taken during that. So we'll see. Any other questions? We're going to grab your questions. We're taking them live right now. Also want to stress that you can grab them anytime, 503-ANDY, 503-2639. Go ahead and send a text, hit a like and a subscribe. We love it. We'll be doing these again. But I think we're going to wrap this one up because we've covered just about everything. The questions have been great. Thank you very much for the compliments on all this. It's the easiest way for you to get the information that you want, when you want it, how you want it, on whatever screen that you want it on. We're not going to force feed it to you on your TVs, but you can have this however you want. We're going to keep watching this. If you like and subscribe, you'll be in for the next time. You'll get the ping. If you send the text, we'll hit you with the text as well and fire it up. And there will be more information coming. The important situation on will the wobble happen, or is this going to double down on some of the South towns during the course of the day, and we appreciate it. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we will see you next time.